On today's episode of WatchJRGo, I have found the first good gas can that's been made in the last, 20 years? And I can't legally call it a gas can. What is going on, guys? I am WatchJRGo, and you can see behind me I have a huge assortment of gas cans that you probably hate. And I hate them too. I don't completely hate the VP ones here, but all of these, they're all terrible. Now, I understand why gas cans became terrible, right? The government stepped in and regulated something that we need to use all the time to be absolutely worthless, nearly unusable in almost every scenario because a couple gas leaks happened and a few fires happened. The old gas cans, though, were great, and some of you may be too young to even remember those cans, but they were the plastic, like injection or roto-molded ones, where you had a clear, flexible spout with a black cap on it. This cap, to be exact. These little caps were absolutely wonderful. They did everything they needed to do, and if you weren't stupid with your gas cans, well, everything worked out really well for you. Unfortunately, for some people, it didn't work out so well. I'm sure these cases were extremely rare, like 1 in a million cases, but people would put a gas can in their car, that one's empty, and it would have that spout in it, and it would fall over, and it would leak all of the gas out, because these caps with a bunch of pressure on them, they can blow right off. And when expansion happens, instead of the tank bulging out like we see today, the cap would blow right off. I understand there were quite a few reasons those things weren't, perfect. But at the same time, they really got the job done, and if you were careful with your gas cans, even a little, you don't have to be that careful. Like, gas is an incredible fuel. It's so stable for what it is, and we transport it all over the country all the time. It's in the back of cars and trucks and everything like that all the time. So I understand that the government regulation came from trying to prevent stupidity, but some of us actually need to use our gas cans to fill things up, and these have made it nearly impossible to do. So let's take a look at some of these terrible gas cans. Here's one of my most hated designs, the one where you have to twist it to unlock. I actually think I went ahead and I finally broke this one, so it no longer needs to be twisted to be, So it's now so completely broken, it doesn't have to be twisted to shut. This one kind of works. I've got it on the old GOT can, which is the good can from back in the day, right? This can would have came with that flexible plastic spout that was amazing. These cans were absolute champions. The best in the world back in the day. Now, I have that new school spout on there that I must have got from Amazon or something like that. You can tell it had a locking ring or from some other gas can that this clearly doesn't work with correctly, but it had the right threads, and it lets me keep using it. So, to close it, you have to pull up on it now. The springs are completely gone. But it does close, I'll give it some credit. It does have a valve that closes, and if we turned it upside down with fuel in it, it wouldn't leak until we pushed it in, and then it would just stay there and leak. So, that terrible spout design. This is, you know what, I bet this came on that. There's a good chance that it did, but these threads fit this one, so this can works perfectly and has no valve or anything like that. The problem is it doesn't have a vent. So I'm gonna guess, you can see that one's internally vented right there. That's where the air gets sucked back in. Is this one internally vented? It's not. This is literally just an old school filler. So this is actually a pretty reasonable can. This is a valve design here, spring loaded, and this one is just completely broken. It does have a little cap on it so you can be double sure that it's closed, right? So you have to depress this to dispense the gas, and you also have to have that cap off. But you don't have to do any of that. You can just yank this thing off of there. You can see it's internally vented, and it actually works really well. But then you have to put this back together every time, which is a little tricky. So that's actually a good design now that we've broken it. I'm sure many of you have broken these ridiculous spouts as well to make the gas can work the way it's supposed to, especially when you get in weird scenarios. Like, for the most part, we're filling something straight down, like a jet ski or a four-wheeler or a lawnmower or a tractor. These are really hard to do that with because you have to have all of the weight of the can up in the air, which can be 45 pounds when they're completely full of gasoline, right? 5-gallon container, you overfill it with that last gallon. You're not supposed to do that either. but it weighs a ton, and then you have all that weight sitting on the spout. And if you're lucky, the spout doesn't break off. Here is another one. We've got a 5er right here with a valved spout. And this one has the little hook for you to get the edge of whatever you're filling up, and then that will let you push down on it. So this one's actually still working really well, and it's acceptable, right? This one you can probably get through most scenarios with. You just better hope you don't have to fill something weird where that doesn't fit. Here's another one, another terribly designed spout on an old Blitz can. Actually, it's empty, so let's tighten it up there, if it'll even tighten up. This one, you have to depress this tab right here, which sounds like it might have just broke. It's internally vented, and then you have to push super hard. So normally you need all the way to the gas can to depress this one. See, it says rest on receiver, push can to pour. The rest of it should say, hope it doesn't break. I should probably just throw it away now, because years ago, while we were doing a lot of jet skis, I switched to all VP cans. And these are not gas cans, these are utility jugs, and they're pretty good, honestly. I am pretty good at filling anything up with these without spilling anything. The only problem is the handle is not in the greatest spot. You can see it's got 1.5 gallons in there, and it's already leaning hardcore forward. These rubber filler hoses love to get brittle after a while, and mine are still doing all right, but they get brittle and it makes it really hard to get these into what you're filling. But you put this in first, flip the jug up, and then flip the vent open with your thumb, and you can usually get through anything without spilling a drop. But they're supposed to have screw-on caps, and the screw-on caps are maybe the worst thing about these. If you screw them on more than 2 threads, they get completely stuck and you'll need wrenches to take them off. So in most emergency scenarios, that will just absolutely screw you. I can't tell you how many times the caps have gotten stuck on these fillers. But I do love these cans because it's the best thing we've had in the last 20 years. Now it's time for the good part. I was at SEMA, right? And there was a small booth, a one-man booth, which is rare at SEMA. He only had one section, and his demo had a couple gas cans there, a bunch of these, and a couple of different gas cans with the handle out on the front here. And he was like, take this VP can and try to fill up this tube without spilling it. Now, it didn't have gas in it. Obviously, it had like water with food coloring or something. And I took him up on the challenge. I've put in my time on these VP cans, and they were good while they were the thing. But now I'm gonna show you guys the new thing that I also cannot legally call a gas can. These are also sold as utility jugs. Before we get into this, I wanna say this whole video is 1000% not an ad. It's a favor, hopefully a favor to you guys, maybe a favor to this small USA company here, because I love the product. I'm gonna switch to their product completely, and they have not paid me one dime. I just said, send me some of these gas cans. I'm gonna make a video about it. That's how impressed I was. So they're not paying me. I don't have any interest in this company. I don't have anything to disclose. This is not an ad. But they did send me a 15% off code for you guys if you wanna buy these. I think it's a great deal. I'm buying more of them, and that's all there is to this. Literally, and I thought it was a really good title for a video. That was the main thing. I figured that this video would be an absolute banger because we all collectively hate gas cans. And these utility jugs, whoo, they're good. All right, let's get into it. In these 2 boxes though, I have what you want for Christmas. This is what I got to use at SEMA. These are tough jugs. Now, I've got 5-gallon ones here too. This first box just had some smaller ones in it. So I already opened this box up and went ahead and put one of the caps on this can, and I am in love with this. Are you guys ready for this? We're actually gonna go fill this up and use it right now. So these have smart stop. They stop pouring when the tank is full. They have the best handle location, which I think is true. Once these things are full, you can really carry them and you're kind of centered up on the weight instead of carrying them at a weird center of gravity the way the VP cans are. They were good, but I feel like these are way better. I used all of them, and I've put in a little bit of time, and I mean, I can pretty confidently say these are a lot better. But they are utility jugs. Again, I gotta keep saying utility jugs. And one of the coolest things is they're completely made in the USA. I mean, you can believe that when I tell you it was a 1-person booth at SEMA. Also, fastest fill and 0 spill. So I'm gonna show you how this works real quick, and I bet you're gonna love it. So you squeeze it to unlock, slide the collar up, one-handed, slide the collar up over that, and it's unlocked. and it stays out of the way. How amazing is that? Unlike all those other gas cans you could buy for years, you unlock this thing and then just push down and it fills. So if you're working on a gas tank that's upright, you just drop this on top, it opens up, fills the tank up, and then it should stop once it gets over, once the fuel is over that point right there. And when you're done and you need to lock it back up, you just slide the collar down. Done, locked. Doesn't open anymore. So it's not gonna leak. They also sent me this little one because I was making jokes about how I was gonna use this as my new like Stanley, and that's actually what I'm gonna do with this. It would make a good utility jug for whatever you want. But like, I mean, it's a utility jug. They're also meant for water. Mount them on the back of your car like the 4Runner and Jeep guys do. So this one, I'm just gonna put a cap on it and walk around and drink water. I can have 1.25 gallons on me. Maybe you don't need a gas can. Take this to the gym, put your protein in it. Maybe don't put your protein in it because liquid goes through that handling. Good luck getting that protein back out of there. Also, they all have one of those clear gauges on the side to tell you how much liquid's in it. Here's what you guys wanted to see. This is the filler spout that comes with the Tough Jugs instead of the VP one. You can see the straw going through there. That's like a motorcycle tank vent. I also like the black clamps on this. These look really nice. They've got, maybe, I'm hoping, a better cap. Let's see how this unscrews. Can I do it one-handed? All right. Now, can I bury it and do it one-handed? That's the real question. It's kind of tight. It came off. Maybe they just have a better thread design. And then there's the cap that screws into. They did send me a warning. That takes like a 3/8 drive right there. And they said, make sure you put Teflon on these, which I know is definitely true because these have pipe sealant, pipe dope on there just to make sure they don't leak because those always leak. So they said always make sure you put a couple of wraps of Teflon on there or use the cap with the built-in O-ring seal. So either way, it's nothing special to get these set up, and then you have a way better filler, I can tell you that. I like the yellow. Look at that. Oh. The filler nozzle is inside it. That's awesome. And these do, like I said, once you get this whole thing set up, you just stick it down in the tank a little bit, dump all your gas in, and they stop filling when they're at the top, so you know when to get your gas can out. So we've got the big red Tough Jug and the big yellow one. All right, I got the spouts put together with some Teflon tape for the 5ers, and now let's go get some fuel in the red one here and fill up the lawnmower and just see how well it works. All right, guys, it's 2 for time. The diesel is out of diesel. Oh, that's the tricky thing right there. You do have to actually get the vent hose out of there. And then, since we're just filling up the mower and some cars around the shop, we're not gonna put premium in it today. Let's get this thing filled up. All right, it's totally full. Let's see what it's like to carry. Woo! It's like carrying a briefcase. That is actually pretty good. I like this. All right, does it leak? Oh. Maybe I should have put Teflon on the cap because it did get a couple drips out of the cap there, but nothing else is leaking. I can hear the comments now. That's an unapproved container. You can't do that. Well, I did it. Also, when you're hauling gas cans, since we don't have those wide bases that made those GOT cans so nice back in the day, they stayed upright all the time, so you didn't have to worry about them spilling, right? Well, these obviously are quite a bit different, so I always tie them back with like a bungee cord just to make sure they don't flip over in the bed, because everything slides around in your bed, and when they fall over, there is always a chance any gas can's gonna leak. So just spend like a half second and prevent it from the get-go. Really, the only thing I could say about this is if it had like a lip inside with an O-ring seal, that would probably never leak, but who knows. So it is just a friction fit, but let's fill this thing up. Can I do it without spilling? I did! Now for the fun part, I'm just gonna let this sit here and it should automatically stop when it's full. Oh, it's full. It went right to where I had the spout in there. I can't fill this tank all the way up. You can see that it's covered in gas. For some reason, if this thing hits one bump, it just covers everything in gas all the time. You can see where it spills out of the top. I just stopped filling it all the way to the top, and this actually made it pretty easy to deal with that. Anyway, that's Tough Jug. If you want to pick one of these things up, like I said, he did hook up everybody who watches this video. That's really the only way you'll ever find this, with 15% off. The code's WatchJRGo. The link's in the description below. So huge shout out to Tough Jug for being, you know, made in USA. Pretty rare these days, and for making a utility jug not a gas can that works better than all this other junk over here. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop.watchjrgo.com for cool shirts, not like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will talk to you next time. I mean, gas cans are simply that bad. I figured it deserved an entire video. Few things on earth draw collective hatred from all of us, like all of the EPA mandated gas cans, or whoever mandated the terrible design we've been dealing with for a while. And it's Christmas time, so I figured you guys want some Christmas presents and probably already have all the tools you want. Maybe you want new gas cans. All right, I'm out of here.